Yo, what's going on? So Tribe 9 has been out for a while now, and since I'm almost at that 100-hour mark in game, I thought I would just drop some of my thoughts about it here for anyone curious about the game. To start, I will say do not go into this game thinking it's just another gacha game. You could completely remove the gacha from the game and nothing would change. At its core, it is a third-person action RPG that also has some 2D exploration. A big difference between this and other gacha games is that it doesn't have a stamina system, so you can farm materials pretty much infinitely. The only thing that can be considered stamina is an item called a booster that you can use for small dungeons called rifts that drop basic materials for leveling up characters, and even those can be farmed infinitely since you can get them as random drops from overworld enemies. Another big thing is you can basically use whatever characters you want in a party of 3. The game doesn't force you to run any specific party comp at any point. Hell, for my first 90 hours, I used the exact same 3 characters since I wasn't really a fan of the launch roster. It just had too many dudes and still does, but the point is you can literally just pick a team of your favorites and beat all of the content in the game with them. The game also makes gearing characters really easy since unlike some other gacha games out right now, you have almost complete control over the substats on each character's gear. There's an item in the game you can craft called Par that lets you choose to increase your chances of getting 1 to 2 of the highest tier substats on a piece of gear you currently have equipped for the next 25 pieces of gear that you get from random chests in the open world that also reset every 2 days, by the way, and also from the in-game mode called Fractal Vice. Like I said before, this game does come in 2 forms. Basic exploration and story progression takes place in a 2D city that's kind of like old school RPGs. The map is pretty big for a game like this and is dense with a lot of shortcuts and paths to find. I did find navigating in this game to be pretty confusing, even more so in the new area that just got added in the most recent update. Since the game doesn't really have a functioning minimap, you'll have to constantly open your map to make sure you're going the right way, since the in-game layout and map layout don't always match up. There are puzzles and side quests to do, although most of the side quests are just generic fetch quests. There are some recurring characters and ongoing storylines in some of them though, so definitely look out for those. The main story is pretty bad if I'm being completely honest. It's another Amnesia story with some mystery in the background. The game is currently only at chapter 3, so it might be too early to judge it, but just don't get your hopes up for the narrative. The best part of the game is definitely the other side of the game, which is a 3D action game like PGR or Honkai Impact, but much closer to ZZZ, which is a bit more recent. There's a lack of enemy variety and movesets as far as the basic enemies go, but the thing I enjoyed the most were the boss fights. Because this game isn't as heavy-handed with balancing the game around the gacha, majority of the combat is straight up skill-based. If you can't dodge and can't learn enemy movesets, you will have a pretty terrible time. You can, however, offset this with builds and certain broken team combinations since the gear and skill system has quite a bit of depth. Basically, you get 5 pieces of gear called tension cards that you can get from the gacha, the in-game shop, or from random enemy and boss drops. These give you additional buffs and passives that activate as you charge your ultimate, which is a meter shared by all 3 party members. You charge it by breaking enemies and launching chain attacks with each party member that also have different effects. Each tension card also comes from a set, so you can receive further buffs and effects if the requirement for that set is met. Most of the time it's just activating a certain debuff or buff. On top of tension cards, each character has a set of skills that can be changed as you rank them up to alter their role almost completely, like removing a healer's ability to heal or pushing tankier characters into a DPS role. Even some of the DPS have the ability to heal the entire party as well. So you're never really trapped into playing the game one way. You can also switch characters in combat as well since your other 2 party members are on the field at all times fighting with you. I have noticed the AI can be pretty bad in this game as far as dodging goes, and I have seen them just go AFK and stand there for quite a bit as well, but most of the time it's a non-issue. To get back to the bosses, the ones in the game at the moment, both in the overworld and the endgame, are just really fun to fight. They all have varied movesets and fair telegraphs, so the learning experience can be pretty engaging. And it just feels great to get better and better at beating each of them. The endgame is just a giant dungeon with different paths for you to choose with rooms full of enemies and chests that have a higher chance of dropping the current highest tier of gear. Every other floor increases enemy levels about 10 levels, so you might start at level 40 and then end at level 70, and if you die you go all the way back to the start. The enemies do respawn, but any chest you open won't until the weekly reset. The final boss does give you a chest weekly that contains material for ranking up your character skills to max, and a room full of golden chests that scale off how high your score is after you kill the boss, which means the more high level enemies you kill, the higher your score, and the higher your score, the more chests you get in the end. This is basically where you come to grind gear once you're strong enough, and after you have the pieces you want, or if you're feeling brave, there's an extra floor with red versions of overworld bosses. Now these used to be the final bosses of Fractal Vice, but it was a ridiculous skill check for new players, so now the red bosses have been moved aside and turned into side content you can do for fun. You do get a medal for beating them at the highest level, which is now 100. You have to start at 50 and work your way up. Both bosses will also be rotated weekly as far as I know. They have different movesets and increased damage over their regular versions, and it's just really fun to go in and learn one phase at a time. After you beat them once, you unlock a shortcut to let you go straight to them to practice as much as you want as well. To wrap this up, I'll say definitely give the game a shot. The gacha isn't a big part of it, which is kind of worrying since there's zero pressure to spend in this game, but I've been playing since launch and have gotten enough pulls to hit hard pity on both the standard and limited banners twice without spending any money, and yet it's another game with a 50-50 system and a hard pity at 80 pulls. There's also a free standard 3-star character selector at 300 pulls like some other games, and it does have a battle pass as well, which is only worth it if you want the boosters or one of the 3 unique character skins on it. And the game also has some mild customization as well with recolors for all of the characters. With all that said, it's just a really fun game to play that you can tackle at your own pace. It did take me about 2 days to finish the new zone completely playing non-stop, so if future updates are around this size, there's going to be plenty of content for everyone. Thanks for watching.